You're the witch. You are the wicked witch of the freaking Midwest is what you are. Your kids are puppets. They aren't even kids. And if you don't want to be knocked in your face, you better watch how you talk about my husband.
Yo, what's good, homies? It's time for more wife swap. In today's episode, we have a mom that was obsessed with pageants, or still is, and has all her kids entering these weird child beauty pageants. And pretty much this entire family is obsessed with image, but they're raising some absolute brats. This episode gets explosive with literally both families screaming at each other at the very end, so make sure you watch until the end because it gets quite spicy. Without any further ado, let's get into it and meet the woman's family that we are going to be hanging out with today.
Meet pageant mom Marianne Curry, also known as Miss Marianne Popcorn Festival 2011.
I started doing pageants as a teenager.
Yeah, so this is Marianne and her family, also known as Miss Marianne Popcorn Festival 2011, who also has dreams of being Miss America. I gotta admit, there's a bit of a disconnect between being Miss Marianne Popcorn Fest 2011 and Miss America, but at least she has some, high aspirations and dreams, despite being in her 30s or 40s, it looks like. Not saying you're too old to chase your dreams, but I mean, you can always reassess as you go along in life, you know what I mean? Like, she has 3 beautiful kids and a big house and a big family, and that's who we're hanging out with today. So we're actually gonna meet Marianne in the part 2 when she goes over to meet the family that she's swapping with, who is a bunch of pretty much, I guess, self-proclaimed rednecks that are out hunting for their own food every day and live in pretty much a pigsty. So that's gonna be quite fun to see, and she is quite the Karen. But today we're focusing on her family and the other mother of that redneck family that is coming over here to try to make sense of this chaotic household they have.
Hi, how are you guys? And your name's Leo?
I hate my hair. I hate my name.
Did you say it?
So this woman's meeting the kids. This is the other wife that we're seeing here. And right away, these kids are so freaking energetic, dude. I know they're just excited to have the TV cameras around and to meet their new, quote, mom. But still, these kids are off the charts with energy. And that's going to be carrying through this entire episode. I almost guarantee it, bro. They're literally like the caricatures of what your parents acted like you would become if you had sugar, which I don't think that's an actual scientifically backed thing, that sugar makes you super hyperactive. But maybe I'm wrong. Feel free to correct me in the comments, as long as it's coming from a place of science and not just hearsay and, anecdotes. But yeah, needless to say, this oldest boy of theirs just hates his long hair and hates his name. That's another really weird thing this family has, is they're obsessed with their kids all having long hair. Not that your kid can have long hair, but it sounds like this kid is over having these bangs and this long, J. Beebs haircut during prime J. Beebs era, because I think this was a few years ago, and he just wants a normal haircut, but apparently his parents won't let him. Maybe that's a pageant rule, whoever has the most shiny, long, blonde hair wins the freaking pageant sash or whatever it is that you win. But it's kind of weird they're obsessing over their family's images this much, and this is going to be a theme that is running through this family this entire episode. They all want to just look perfect 24/7. Meanwhile, these kids just want to be freaking kids, bro.
I read the manual, and of course, they're this structured, well-mannered, strict. That is not the Curry family.
And this lady's already talking trash. She's like, bro, in the freaking pamphlet they gave me when I got the rundown of this family, she said her kids are well-mannered, and meanwhile, this is literally like Chuck E. Cheese on a Wednesday during peak hours back in their mid-2000s. You know what I mean? Just chaos, rambunctious children running around, screaming everywhere. This kid's playing WWE over here trying to chokeslam his sister, and it's just like not a good time already. This lady is feeling like she's in over her head, and I would be too, honestly.
Who runs this house? Not Dad. Maybe Leo. This is going to be a very long week.
I mean, these kids are playing with their food. I don't know if they're told to ham it up for the camera right now, but if this is a nightly thing, or if this is them just acting up because their mom is kind of the leader of the house and the one that does discipline them, and she's gone, so all the kids are just like, hey, it's open season. But yeah, they're needless to say, these kids are little punks at the dinner table, bro. And the dad is doing nothing to stop them. He's trying to step in, but you can tell this dynamic, it's just one of those things where the dad didn't really take much charge with, leading the kids while the mom is here. So now that she's gone, it's just absolute freaking chaos.
You're such a boy. Can you imagine Leo as a 13-year-old kid on puberty? He's probably going to be on the news.
I have no idea what that statement means or why he would be on the news, but I feel like that's not a very nice thing to say about a kid. And that just goes to show how freaking amped up this child is. She's like, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen when he becomes a teenager, but he's getting locked up for something probably, or doing something that's going to be newsworthy, but it's probably going to be a bad thing that he's on the news for. That's all I can say. And I think I agree. This kid is just pestering his little brother. He's running around screaming, throwing fits everywhere. And it's almost like these parents just don't even realize their children are like this. That's another thing, is these kids are all doing like 8 different sports each. So their entire day, these parents, after they get off of work, or I think the mothers stay at home, is taking these kids around to their different practices and having their lives enriched by just basically running around all day instead of spending quality time with each other at home.
Oh my God. No wonder why the kids are out of control.
Okay.
We gotta go. I'm exhausted and I did 1 day of activities.
And end of day 1. This is literally the end of day 1. This lady is already in freaking tears because of the chaos in this household and just the inability for her and this other dad, who is the actual father of these children, to take care of these kids and make sure that they're stable and just not freaking out all the time, fighting with each other and screaming and causing a ruckus. If you're brought to tears by night 1, that's how you know this is just going to be a bad time for this lady for the rest of the week, or at least until she gets to do her rule change halfway through.
I was just waiting for Dad to step up a little bit.
My wife does most of the discipline responsibility.
And now it's time to get the kids to bed. And again, I don't know if the dad just never does this, so that's why he's not really trained to do this correctly. But none of these kids are in bed in the first place, and they're all screaming and literally clawing at the walls as he's trying to pick them up and drag them back to their rooms so that they fall asleep in time for school the next day. Literally all 3 of them are being complete brats, and this dude is just unable to handle it. It's hilarious to see a dad in their element when they're kind of forced to do their own thing. You could tell the longer this goes on, the mom is one that does everything, or maybe these kids are just like this 24/7 and they're okay with raising complete brats.
Your mom teaches you guys how to do pageant stuff. Well, what do you do?
I don't really want to talk about pageants. It's not fun.
And now she's talking to the oldest daughter, the oldest child of theirs, Marin, who pretty much explains that none of them like doing this pageant crap. And this is something that we see so much on this show, bro. Parents who are living vicariously through their children, who kind of took an L. You know, this lady was only Mrs. Popcorn Festival 2011, washed up as hell in terms of the pageant world, and she still has dreams of being Miss America. So she's like, oh, I know, I'll have 3 kids and hope that one day one of them will win some huge pageant like that, and then I'll have my glory. Like, no, dude, if your kids don't want to do this, don't make them do it. And then parents also infantilize their children and try to act like they can't make up their own ideas of what they want to do, and that's just simply not true. These kids know that they want to be hanging out with their friends and having fun and being chill 7, 5, 4-year-olds, however old they are, and they don't want to be stuck doing these pageants. So it's kind of funny they're straight up telling this woman that the first night.
Just the other day, you were telling us about how badly you wanted to be in the teeny pop and that you were working on your hula hoop. So do you want or not want to be in the teeny pop pageant?
Do you want to be in the teeny pop and do your hula hoop routine or not? I need you to be focused if you're going to be a part of this family and going to be a part of our pageantries. Like, this is the only time I've ever seen this dad be strict and, you know, trying to set the kids straight is when they say they don't want to do these pageants. That's how you know how deep this is running in this family. This psycho obsession with their image and being better than everybody else. It's just so cringy.
Never really get to do anything.
Do they not understand what they're doing to this little girl? They're gonna burn her out.
And it literally makes this woman cry when she goes and talks to the oldest daughter by herself, and she realizes these kids are doing stuff 6 to 7 days of the week, like pretty much 24/7. They're either at school or doing one of their other activities that their parents are kind of forcing them to do. They don't really want to be doing this stuff. No kid wants to be that busy all the time, and it just will make the child burn out. So this lady is fully in tears again. Granted, yes, she might just be a little bit of a crybaby, but no, I think she actually has a soft spot for what they're doing to these kids and how much they're making them basically live lives that they're forcing them to live as parents, which again is just so messed up. So anyways, that's how the first week was going. It was pretty much chaos and just a mess everywhere. So now it's time for the rule changes, and let's hear what this woman is proposing the new family does.
So, any kid that screams in Dad's face or screams no has to do 5 push-ups.
So that's right, any kid that steps up or screams in dad's face or puts their hands in dad's face, whatever they do to disrespect their dad, because these children clearly have no respect for this dude. Anybody who steps up is going to have to do 10 push-ups, which they do eventually change to jumping jacks because apparently 7-year-olds are weak and they can't do freaking push-ups, bro. The 26-year-old says as he barely can do one himself. Anyways, we're going to move on from that point. Now let's get on to the next rule change.
Leo, time for a new do.
You're gonna give me a haircut!
I think this is the one rule that's going to be hard to follow.
The next thing is probably the biggest issue of this episode. They're gonna allow this oldest son who hated his hair, he literally said that as the first thing he said to this woman, she's gonna take him at some point to get his hair cut, which it has apparently never been cut in his life, and that's insane to me. So this is a huge deal for these parents, and I feel like this is something their beauty pageant Karen mom is just gonna be freaking out over. The final rule change is they no longer have a schedule. They're gonna be actually spending some family time together, which this has to be the most lax rule changes I've ever seen. They're pretty much are like, all right, respect your dad, let's spend time together, and let's have a good time this week. And the whole family is honestly down for it, except for the dad. He's a little bit worried, but you would be surprised to know that he is only worried about his son getting his hair cut. They're both so obsessed with this freaking weird mop head that it doesn't make sense to me.
Put the fork on the plate, please. You know where it belongs.
Well, I don't like this.
Well, this is all there is. Okay, give me 10 jumping jacks. 1, 2.
So then guess what? Next day at dinner, dad's finally stepping up to the freaking plate. He's actually like, you know what? You talking back? You give me that lip? 10 freaking jumping jacks, which of course the kids just do kind of half-assed. But I mean, even that is better than nothing. They're finally starting to eat their food, and it seems like these kids are a little bit more well-behaved, but still there's this glaring issue of them just not giving these kids attention, and that is why these kids are acting out. That's why most kids act out, is to simply get attention, and they realize that's the only way to get it, even if it is negative from their parents.
After a whole day of no schedules for the Curry kids, Heidi has asked Marin to read to the family to settle down for the night.
Nice job, honey. Excellent read.
So they have this genius idea of, I don't know, spending time together as a family, which is just one of the most crucial things you could do with your kid. And all these parents on this show act like it's some crazy revelation they would have never arrived at without having their new wife swapped on this show. But they have the oldest daughter read a book to the kids, and wouldn't you know it, when everybody's had some focus in the day and everybody's together and there's less stress in the house overall, or stress in their schedule, all 3 of these kids literally fall instantly asleep. Kids actually do behave when you focus on them and show them love and affection like a parent should. I know that's so freaking mind-boggling, and maybe if you're watching this and you're learning that too, you need to like do some adjusting with the way that you're parenting, because that should be the #1 key thing that you're focusing on as a parent, and these 2 simply weren't. So to close out her week here, or her 2 weeks here, she's finally taking this kid Leo to get his haircut, and needless to say, this creates an emotional response from the dad, but I will give him some credit. It's emotional for a good reason. At first you think he's crying because his son's precious hair is being cut, which I'm sure there's a little bit of that, but listen to what he has to say about seeing his son actually receive a haircut that he wants for once.
Getting Leo's haircut, for the first time, I saw my dad's face in Leo's face, and my dad's not here anymore. So that was really special.
So that's actually really sweet. He said he saw his father in his son for once he actually, you know, cut the hair away and he could see what his face looked like, which I'm sure was a very emotional moment for him. And maybe something that made him realize, hey, change can be good. I can give my kids autonomy. I know they're still young, so I need to make decisions for them in many cases, but they also can start to make their own decisions a little bit more, which is honestly a battle that most parents do have to face at some point. So now, after the weeks have wrapped up, they are meeting together as parents, and I'm going to be showing this mainly in the second part because the Karen wife here of this pageant family, she really wreaks havoc over in the other house. Granted, she does get messed with quite a bit as well, but it gets heated, and again, I'm saving that for the next part. But listen to what this guy had to say when he reveals that the son got his haircut. It's funny, this is literally the biggest, most life-altering part of the entire week. Not them actually, you know, drastically changing how he parents or the fact that he actually gets respect from his kids now. No, it's like a big deal that they cut off maybe 5 inches of their kid's hair.
The thought of cutting that off without you, it was difficult, but I've never seen my father and my children.
And the lady sounds happy like this wife, but she's also crying at the prospect of them cutting her son's hair while she was gone for 2 weeks. This image thing they have is just so toxic, and I'm sorry, I feel bad for their kids who are going to be so self-centered and self-conscious growing up, worrying about crap like this, like their parents have just instilled this mindset into them, and I hate that for them. And she even says in closing, like, she took this moment away from me. I was going to see my son get his first haircut, and I do get that, but I feel like honestly, she's just salty that her kid doesn't have the long hair that she wants, which also, can we get into this, girly? You're worrying about other people's hair, and you literally have like a crow fight that just happened in the back of your head that you didn't even brush out before you got onto TV for like the final episode of this show that you're going to be on before you fade into irrelevance again. Come on, please, be real. Anyways, now it sounds like after 6 weeks, the family has a better reward and punishment system for their behavior of the children. The kids are getting more autonomy, they're making more choices, and both families are happy. So I think that was a W episode, and if you want to see part 2, make sure you run up the likes. I want to know what you thought of this one down in the comments below. If you're excited to see more wife swap, and as always, shout out to my Patreon supporters holding it down over there, and I appreciate you guys watching the videos. I know I haven't been uploading as much as I should, but you know, life stuff coming up getting in the way. Anyways, as always, I'll catch you guys in the next video, and until next time, peace out.